Hello and welcome to the continue of the Azure Arc Summit. My name is Igor Shestitka and I am a cloud engineer and also manager of the Azure Managed Services department. My demo today will be about centralized management of on-premise and multi-cloud servers with Azure Arc. Hope you was impressed with the previous presentation and waiting for the scenarios and real live demo. Okay, we will have this demo for next 30 minutes, plus we will have 50 minutes for answer for your questions, and after that at 6 p.m. my colleague and my friend Katalin Popa will provide you the idea how you can manage and deploy the Kubernetes clusters with the Azure Arc. And of course, let's go back to the Azure Arc enabled servers, why we have to use it, what is this, etc., etc. So the idea of Azure Arc, as was mentioned before, is bring the compatibilities and functions, really cool functions of Azure management to the on-premise platform. It means that we can take any on-premise or another cloud virtual machine or physical server, install required agents, and these agents will send the data to the Azure that will be analyzed by the Azure, plus the Azure itself with, for example, Azure Automation will be able to send some commands, some operations to the on-premise machine. So like you will have all features like update management with Azure Automation on your on-premise virtual machines and servers. You will build the update management in Azure Automation like a hybrid solution without any really serious deployment, etc., etc. You just need to enable servers in Azure Arc, connect the servers to the Azure Arc, to the Azure, and you will have this functionality for your on-premise servers. And also the same scenario for the monitoring and change tracking and inventory. So like again, after you join, enable the servers from other clouds or from on-premise with Azure Arc, Azure Log Analytics, Azure Monitor for VMs will be available for you, and all this data will be collected and managed by you. I will show you. At the same time, you will have from Azure Automation the change tracking, what's happened, which services stopped, which services work, and inventory, which software was installed, etc. We will able also to collect some data from the machines, like copy the files to the Azure to see what's changes, what difference, etc., etc., etc. And security, of course. So all this data will be collected by Log Analytics and could be connected with the Azure Security Center and or Sentinel. It depends what exactly you want to have. We are not talking about like directly working with the machines. We are talking with the agents that will send the data and analyze it in Azure. So we don't need to touch any solution, etc. And same time, we will be able to assign Azure policy. Unfortunately, for the guest machines, for now, it's available only on the guest configuration read-only mode or audit mode. So it means that this policy will show us compatibility of the connected machines with your policy, but this policy will not be able to change and configure like expected. But anyway, after that, after you connect to the Azure Arc on premises or multi-cloud servers and build this hybrid infrastructure, you also will be able to use these objects or use these servers to deploy additional agents like DSC, etc., and manage also like hybrid DSC solution, etc., etc., because Azure will see these machines like a part of infrastructure, and same time you will get all the data from this machine, monitoring data on your fingerprints. You don't need to, after that, to have on-premise infrastructure with the monitoring and management tools, because by Azure Automation, by Azure Monitor, by Log Analytics, it's really easier to understand ahead and understand the data. Most interesting scenario for this, it's like scenario that's for small and medium companies who has like 5-10 servers or virtual machines on a few servers, to work with all of this data with Azure infrastructure in case if we are moving to the Azure or have hybrid. But even with the big company, we have example in our managed services when the big company also connects some part of their on-premise infrastructure because it's cheaper, easiest than connect with the solar, wind, etc. monitoring tools. And of course, how it's possible to connect your servers on premise to the Azure Arc. To do this, it's no rocket science. At first, you will be able to do this by Azure Portal. It's easiest way if you need to add a few servers. Azure Arc Portal will generate for your on-premise machine just a script that could be used on premise machine, started PowerShell script or Bash script for the Linux machines, to join the machine to the domain and install the agent, exactly the agent, for management this machine. Same time, if you have a Windows Admin Center, it's a really cool feature or really cool product for Microsoft to manage on-premise and Azure virtual machines or servers, Windows servers. I would recommend you to look on the Windows Admin Center and deploy it. It's possible to deploy on premise, it's possible to deploy on Azure to manage the machines. Plus, it's a really cool feature to manage your Windows machines like a portal scenario. Plus, this portal will be also your RDP gateway to connect to different machines. Plus, this portal will be also the really cool feature for the level 1 or level 2 support inside your organization, because it's easiest way to connect admin center to the Azure and use admin center for the basic operations for the Azure virtual machines or for the on-premise virtual machines to work with Azure services, like for example backups. We don't need to provide for level 1 full access to the portal, Azure portal. We don't want to them explain what is the infrastructure, which blob storages, which backup storages we have to use. We just say that, okay, by the admin center, you will be able to configure the Azure backup for your virtual machines or different features or services in Azure for on-premise or even Azure machines. And of course, if Windows Admin Center connected to the Azure, it will be really easy to connect this machine to the Arc and bring it to the Azure server, Azure portal and Azure services. This is like a manual scenarios, but if you need to automate these scenarios, first of all, you need to do the service principal account. I will show you not how to do this by the demo, but I will show you the few steps on the documentation to explain what exactly you will find on the documentation. But anyway, you need to create the service principal on your Azure tenant, have the ID of this service principal of this account. You will need the security key to connect to the account. Why? Because when we are doing this on the Azure portal, script asked us to provide the credentials. With the service principals, we will use this ID of the service principal and key of this service principal to work directly to automate and connect to the Azure as required. This is one of the scenarios. So like it could be used, for example, for flexible environment when we need to add a lot of machines, or do this by automation when you add some machines, for example, on the scale sets, etc. So like you add the script on the your building script, this building script just join it additional machine, new machine automatically. Same time, with the same credentials as service principals, you can use for global, let's say, deployment. For the big organization, it could be better to use the PowerShell desired state configuration, DSC, to automate the joining all machines by DSC. DSC will push the script on each machine inside the same script to automate with the service principal. Inside this script, you will provide your credentials for the service principal and machines will be added. Or you can build alternatively your own PowerShell scripts, your PowerShell commands that execute the same connect AZ connected machine. This credentials, this CMD-led, do all steps, do all stuff that you need to do for the joining. And some prerequisites, pre-requirements for the Arc enabled servers. There is a few things that you have to understand. You are able to join to the Azure servers, Windows servers, of course, 2008 R2, 2012 R2, and 2016, 2019, including server core, but not server nano, sorry. You will be able to join Ubuntu 16, 18, and also I tested for the 20 and it works, but be careful because it really depends on your packages, because the agent that you deploy, especially dependency agent that's installed for Azure monitoring for VMs, it's quite, let's say, tricky, and sometimes you will have the errors. Please check your updates, please check your libraries, etc. Same time, it's supported for CentOS 7, all version of the 7, 6, 8, whatever. SUSE Linux 15, sorry, and Red Hat. Again, Red Hat should be upgraded with the required kernels, last kernels like 7.9. And as you can see, Amazon Linux 2, a second edition. So it's absolutely possible to have the Amazon machines, but managed by Azure Arc, Azure Monitoring, etc. In terms of the client network access, it means that if you have really restricted outbound connectivity, that's typical for many of the current organization, with the firewalls, with blocking outbound connectivity for any, etc., etc. You have to talk with your network team, or if you also have the access to the firewall, you have to configure this all access to all these URLs to work directly, because agent need to provide the credentials. Sorry, agent need to provide the connectivity. Agent need to connect with the management, send the data, download the configurations, etc., etc. By the way, I forgot to mention here, you are not able to connect another Windows server from another, for example, tenant subscription to your, unfortunately, to your client infrastructure if you are planning to use these scenarios, like you have some clients or some departments or some subsidiaries where you have to monitor all Windows machines or Linux machines in Azure in one looking glass, in one desktop. You are able to connect different machines to the one log analytics workspace and work with this log analytics without the Azure Arc. If you have some credentials by Lighthouse, so check for Lighthouse. In this case, it's not possible to install agent on the Azure machine for the Azure Arc. And Azure subscription itself should be also a little bit configured by you, or it will be configured first time when you do the adding Arc server by portal. So if you do this, system automatically add required resource providers on the Azure. It should be hybrid compute. It should be REST configuration. If you are doing by the script, before you have to go to the subscription, find the providers, resource providers, and find to these providers and register manually by script or by portal, whatever. So this is the prerequisites. This is the why we need and how it's possible. And let's see the most easiest way how it's possible to add additional servers, remote servers to the Azure Arc. For this demo, I will use the portal, as I mentioned before, plus I will use my second laptop, where I installed a few virtual machines with the Linux, with the Windows, and even already connected to the domain a few, to the portal, a few, you can see a few machines. Again, Tolik, to connect any virtual machine or on-premise physical machine or multi-cloud machine to the Azure Arc, you don't need all of this environment, because this environment exactly is built to continue the management. It's all, but I will show you. It's about the change tracking. It's about the inventory. It's about the update management. It's about Azure monitor for virtual machines. All these objects you can add the machine on the empty resource group. So let's do the just connection. Arc server. Oops. Servers Azure Arc. I am planning to create the new object, and as you can see here, you will find two options. First one, interactive script. Second one, it's add the server at scale. If we go with instruction, you will find the example of this script. So first of all, you will need to use the PowerShell. It will be better to use the PowerShell from the Cloud Shell console here. You will need to use the PowerShell to create new service principal. You will get this information, and this is just only one time information. Please copy and save it, because here you will find the secret application ID and how to connect, etc. So you will use this secrets, you see, to connect to your credentials. And after that, this script for the Windows, you can see that download the file, install the file, and after that run az management exe file, install it on the client. So this should be started on the file, and use the credentials to work with the Azure to add this machine to the Azure Arc. The same way for the Linux, but before you will need to do these operations and get all of this data. This is the first step. I prefer, by the way, az command, but anyway, this is the first step that you can do for automation. But we will go back, and you will be able to execute here all of these commands. We will go back to the Arc servers, there is, on the first step, you will find all outbound URLs that you need to open for the connections. After that, you will provide it for the next step of the wizard to provide required data. Again, you will not find all required regions here, but it's not about the data residence, it's just only where the service is available right now. For the future, of course, it will be expanded, but again, so like, you are not transferring the data itself, except when you are doing the change tracking and inventory and collect the content of the files. All other data is only performance information, log information, and update management. So don't worry about that you are breaking some government rules, etc., or regulations. It's again place, that's where you use the service, but you are not transferring the data. And operation system, we have here Windows or Linux compatible machines. If you have some proxy server, please add the proxy server, I mean inside your organization, to allow for the servers to connect here. After that, you will be provided with the tags where you can put the data center, home, Lenovo, laptop, a city, Dubai, country, UAE. This is a text, right? So like to easily find some object after. And here, this is exactly the script that we have to use and have to execute on the client machine. If we use the Linux script, do not forget that that script should be executed with the root account with sudo, and you will need to copy, paste, create some bash file and execute after that by the privilege account. For the Windows, it's easiest, so it's PowerShell. Or just CMD file, like you can see, and we can go to the virtual machine. Oops, what's happening? We can go to the virtual machine. As you can see, this virtual machine based at my home. It's a virtual machine on my server, nothing special. We can start here PowerShell ESI, just to look on the script. So this script does nothing special. You can see this function download that invokes the web request, PowerShell web request, to get the agent, current version of the Azure Connection Manager Machine Agent MSI. Starts the download, execute MSI exec to install this downloaded file, and after that execute exactly the installed agent to send the command to connect to the required group, to the required tenant ID, location, etc., etc. All of the stuff that we provided on the wizards before. And let's start. So this is exactly the process. We will see how it's installed, and this process will be interrupted on the last step, because for this Azure Connected Management Agent will ask you credentials. That's why we need Service Principal account, because it's provide us already known password and ID. And we don't need to do the manual authentication. Like, did you see right now some appears some box and disappeared? It was exactly the installation. And yep, so it's script checked all required parameters. And right now what we have to do, we have to copy the path and we have to copy the ID. I think you are familiar with this process of the authentication. And here, unfortunately, I have to provide my credentials and password. So the authentication is finished. We can close here, and we have to wait until the agent will successfully authenticate it and approve it for the connection. And after that, we just don't need to do nothing inside this machine. We will need only to go, yeah, you see, it's already connected. And how to find? We need to go to the portal. We don't need this page because this page is just providing the information for the script. We can reuse the script, or we can again continue with the service principal script, or as I mentioned before, we can go with the PowerShell itself. You need to install this module. You need to go with this operation, just only one, right, to join, or use also the set new session for the same machine remotely, and after that execute on each machine this command. So it's really cool feature where you can, you see, 1, 2, 3 machines on each of this machine by the remote session, by the, if you allow on the machine remote management, you will be able to execute this, and all machines will be joined to the domain successfully. So it's how it works. And plus here also you will find the script for the PowerShell DSC, desired state configuration, where you have just add additional parameters to work with. And we go back to the our resource group, do the refresh, and you will find already joined server to the Azure Arc. So you can see the internal computer name, you can see the internal domain, Arc demo, yes. You can see the operation system, you can see the version. Here also all of this stuff that we discussed before, you will find all of this. At first, security, you will be able to join this server to the domain by using the join the server to the security center by using this operations. You will find the extensions or add your extensions. For current you have no extensions. You will find the property of the object, not for the server, but of the object that we are working for. Logs for the object, it's not logs for the server. And also you will find the policy that was assigned, not assigned yet. We will continue soon. That will be assigned to the server. Update management, it's not. Inventory, not. Change tracking, not. And insights, not. logs, of course, if we have no insights, if we have no Azure Monitor for virtual machines, we will not be able to see what's going on. And there is a second step and second part of my demonstration. It's exactly the enabling and using Azure Monitor for virtual machines, for Arc servers, same Azure updates and change tracking and inventory. At first, let's add this machine to the log analytics, to the Azure Monitor, enable on the insides, and here we can see our subscription, and here we can choose which one we need. It's why I have a lot of different objects inside the resource groups. First one of these, and first of that was created, it's exactly log analytics Arc logs in West Europe. Why I choose to West Europe for the object, because the same place where my log analytics workplace placed. Okay, and right now the log analytic using Azure Arc will install the additional agent to this machine. Let's go. As I mentioned before, it will take 5-10 minutes. For the Windows, it's absolutely smooth process. For the Linux, please check some parameters of your kernel, of your libraries, etc. But anyway, to continue this demo, we will not stop and we will not wait, because I already have some objects here. First of all, this server 3, where you can find all these options. First of all, it's Azure Insights on the monitoring, where you can see what's going on, how many clients connected or have connection to this server. So 174, it's my PC, 172, it's another virtual machine, 149, it's something inside my network, I don't know which machine, and home station 3, it's one of the router inside my my VM, or my home network. I can see a lot of processes here, which client connected to where. You can scroll, you can expand which server host. You can see this one, this client connected to the terminal services. It's exactly it should be my machine, yeah, 74, working right now. And after that, how many ports and where it's opened on which servers. Let's see, 443. You can see most of this connection, it's about the send the data to the Arc. Nothing also that's doing by this server. Same time, the system send the performance information to your from your machine to your Azure subscription, and here you can see what's going on, how many memory, how many CPU usage, disk usage, etc. You can see the list of the last day. Let's see, 3 days, 7 days. Okay, let's see, 7 days. I don't remember how should be 3 days, something like this. Yeah, from the Saturday 9. You can see all of this information, utilization, etc. Plus, it's for the networking monitoring perspective and analytics. You can use the connections overview, where you will find also all steps. GS service, it's exactly the connection service for the Azure, PowerShell, monitoring host, how many data was sent, connections types, etc., etc. In case when I start something or start downloading something on this machine, I will see these connections also inside the log analytics. Let's do this. Yeah. For example, I don't know. Windows 10 downloads. Update assistant. No. Yeah, here. Download now. I just starting this process to show you that it will be able in 1 minute after the system will report all of these processes, how many data will be downloaded, etc., etc., and plus, is this connection malicious or not? It's again really cool feature of the solution. Let's continue until it started. It's only one part. Second part, it's a logs. All this data started on the log analytics workspace that provides you really cool feature to analyze all these logs collected by Azure Monitor for VM, to look what's going on, what's failed, when it's failed, what connectivity issue, CPU issue, performance issue, security, etc., etc. This one, it's just a simple query. If you are not familiar how to work with the log analytics and Casta language, don't worry. You will find this in a few hours using these ready-to-use templates. Let's see, for example, this scenario. So it takes the data from performance, takes the processor object, takes the processor time, and for the total, and summarize it by percentile and build automatically time chart. So the magic, the magic is on time chart. Okay. VM Insights. No VM Insights. Why? Insights. Okay. Insights metrics. And let's see. All of these metrics you will find here. You will be able to build the templates. You will be able to build any other scenarios. This is, you can see different samples, and plus to work with, it's really to use easy to use. For example, you want to analyze all virtual machine processes. Okay, let's start virtual machine processes, and you will find here all the processes, when it was started, etc., like a sample table. And after that, you will be able to analyze, review, and use the Casta language here to build some extended queries. It's only the monitor part, but also we have the policy, and this policy already applied, and you can see that Azure Security Center default policy that's built by the subscription already applied and checks this machine for the compliance, and just only one non-compliant. But Microsoft provides you additional policy and additional templates exactly for your machines, on-premise machines, not for the Azure objects. Same time we are looking, so like it's still on inside in progress. Okay, and let's see what's going on for the next steps. And for the next steps, it's inventory. Inventory is the feature of the Azure automation that collects all information about the software installed on this machine. You can see the Azure connected machine agent, you can see dependency agent, you can see Microsoft monitoring agents here in extensions. Do you remember that before it was empty? Right now you can see these agents. Fine. Plus, you're able also to look what's going on with the files, with the Windows registry and Windows services that was stopped, started, changed, etc., etc. This is the scenarios to analyze what's going on. Plus, you can see that all updates that was installed for last few days when Microsoft sent it to work on it. And change tracking. For the change tracking, you will see what's going on inside the software, when it was installed, when it was deleted, when the service changed, how many changes happens. Plus, you will see also events. These events, how many events happens with this object inside the Azure itself. We can look on the, for example, 7 days. You see when the object was created, we can see this situation. And there is like 35 different pages of the changes. Some services was installed, software was installed, etc. So based on the Azure Arc, you already received really cool products that allow you to monitor any data, any solution, etc., etc. Plus, you are able to look on the events that happens, this one, with the object, and also you are able to find all things that file was collected. You see, in this case, we can put additional settings to get some files and store it on the blob on the Azure. So like, for example, 8:31 a.m. This file was modified, and you can even see the changes between two versions of the files. So this files was like modified by one additional line. Same time, on the settings, you can add some Windows registry, which files you want to collect. As you can see, there is the files like all documents, which Linux files you want to collect, and how many file where you want to store the file content, and how often you want to collect the information about stopped or worked Windows services. This is again change tracking and inventory that provides you information. It's strange that there is no file. It's last 24 hours. Yeah, of course. If we change some files, these files will be uploaded in next iterations that take about 30 minutes to analyze. And update management. Update management allow me to install any new updates based on the schedule, based on the policy to the different machines. This is the schedule that's defined for this machine exactly, and the history that was installed for last 24 hours. No. And this is the why you can see a lot of objects here. All these options you can see here. Inventory, this is your inventory, and this is your machines that's already joined. This is your change tracking and machines that's already joined to this. This is the update management, and configuration for the Linux machines. This is some issue with the Linux machine, and configuration for the existing Windows Arc machine, and defined schedules. Which groups will be assigned for this schedule, which machines will be assigned for these schedules, which updates implicit will be assigned, and of course the schedule when you're planning to update every 2 hours by recursion, etc., to work with the solution. So all these steps automatically executed, and you can see this errors. These errors mean that Linux machines did not get the updates. We can see this. Linux update failed, Windows update not failed, etc. So Windows work fine. How many minutes, so how much time it was taken for the updates. And let's back to the deployment. You can see that Insights was deployed successfully. If we look right now, we will see the same picture like we had with the server 03. With the server 01, we also have the same, this one. And here we will be able to do the same. So we will be able to monitor CPUs, we will be able to do any operations that we need to do, performance, memory and CPU usage, no data yet. Other perform, no, we need to change the script because performance is not here. Here is another site metrics, but there is different names for the operations. Again, on the insights, we will be able to see the performance and what's going on with the machines, but we are not able right now to manage updates, inventory, and change tracking. Why? Because we have to add these updates, inventory, and change tracking from opposite side, from the update management on the Azure automation account. So on the update management, if we refresh this and go here again, we will find here machine management. And on the machine management, for example, I want to enable on the selected machines. Up to 15 minutes we need to appear new server here. Don't worry, just wait 15 minutes, there will be machines, or you are able to assign all machines to some automation account. That's not recommended, but again, so as far as machine will be joined and appear on the log analytics, update management will see it, and you will be able to add new machine here. The same way for the inventory and for the here's the first one, for the change tracking. You don't need, by the way, to add inventory change tracking. It's the same one object, no one machine yet. Back to the some scenarios with the Linux. With the Linux, you will see the same, but again, so sometimes it's quite tricky, but yeah, you will be able to see insights with no network connectivity. It's again depends on the some configuration. It's Ubuntu 20. You will be able to see the performance. You will be able to see the log analytics with the, for example, the same scenarios like processes, computer, connections. Connection doesn't work for now. Inside metrics. Let's see. So you will see, let's delete this limit. You will see the different options, namespace and name, heartbeat, computer, is it okay? Yes. Disk, you will need to parse this. Don't worry, it's like a standard JSON, and Kusta has this command for the standard JSON. But anyway, you will be able also to do the same operations if you fix your Linux kernels and libraries. Just to be sure that's... Nope, not yet. Okay, let's wait. And after that, it's appeared on the console. If you don't want to wait, you can do nothing, unfortunately, for this process. It's quite planning your process more, let's say, relaxed way. On the one evening, join Arc machines. On the morning, join these machines to the log analytics. On the next evening, join these machines to update management and inventory. And all of this will appear on the information about extensions. For now, you can see that extension it's work for. So it was about the demo, and of course Q&A session. Thank you for the joining, and I'm ready to answer on your questions.